What's up guys, my name is Lex Veldhuis and welcome to another episode of Poker Coaching. Today we're gonna learn about how to bluff small pairs on high card boards. We're gonna look at a $1,000 main event tournament and a $5,000 high roller. Let's take a look. I'm not partnered anymore on Twitch. Guys, I'm thinking about a flop. I agree with that. I don't understand why he's not playing. We need him. We need him. Interesting. Where do my bluffs come from here? To check this flop behind. You gotta wonder. I mean, ace jack bets the flop, right? To like get insta folds out of like eights and nines. Sucks a bit. Do we just bet here? Maybe. I think I just need to get rid of tens, nines, eights, jacks.
All right, guys, let's get right into this hand. We've got pocket fours here from early position, and we open it up. Catch a 3-bet, 3x size. So what are you thinking about right now? Is there anything you're thinking about? Mixing, calling, 4-betting? How do you think about this?
I think I generally I don't really shove like lower pairs here. Like if I'd shove anything, it'd be, you know, hands with good blockers or ace-x or a hand like king jack suited or something. So not really looking to I don't really shove pairs that don't have good properties just by, you know, like eights or something would be good, right? Like stuff like that. So just play my pairs pretty linearly.
It's a lot of big blinds here, right? So I wouldn't be jamming here either. But I actually think this hand folds for the most part. Which is like not again, if you haven't seen ICM models, and for people that are watching, this is just, you know, it's a really high blind level, 17.5, 35. This is deep in a 1K. It doesn't take like that much ICM for this hand to start mixing to fold. Now this 3-bit sizing is a little bit smaller than the sizing that I see in most of the models that I look at, but this is not an unreasonable hand to mix to fold once we start getting ICM adjusted. Again, if for people that are looking at chips models, this is pure call, right? But
yeah,
ICM adjusted, it doesn't take that much ICM. You know, even like 50% of the field left, I think you start seeing this hand mix to fold, for example. So it's close, but we called, which is like a very standard answer. I think most players would call.
Yeah, in my head, I'm just like calling, like the reasonable sizings, I'm calling any pair that I open. Like obviously, I think I'm folding like threes and deuces there.
Okay.
Maybe threes not, but you know, but definitely deuces. But yeah.
So then we obviously we catch 3-bet, we make the pre-flop call. We get the, you know, worst flop pretty much that we can ask for when we have fours. We check, and the in-position player checks back.
Yeah, I was pretty surprised about that. I feel like this is a range bet for him.
It is, yeah. So this is a mistake for the most part. Usually when people make these mistakes, they're very dense, like one of two hands, jacks or kings. Right? So
yeah, which is actually interesting because yeah, that definitely played. I think that, like what you said, like in my head, I still think that people have some nutted hands. I still think that people might occasionally check ace queen. You know what I mean? Like just as a sort of like deep in a huge tournament. It's a main event. So I wouldn't put it past it. It's a sort of similar hand. It blocks some calling hands, so people might instinctively check that one sometimes. I do think that a lot of my queen X is checking here as well, so I don't really feel comfortable stabbing at this point just yet.
Yeah, you shouldn't. I don't think this hand should bet. So the way out of position I think should work here versus the in-position player is the in-position player, once they like to check back the flop, I think they're going to be playing mostly like a call-fold strategy. I don't think you should anticipate much raising from the in-position player. If you're not going to get raised, you can just bet pretty linearly, essentially, for in most of these types of scenarios. So you can just bet with, like, you know, flush draws, jack 10, jack 9, 10 9, like ace 10, maybe ace jack. You don't really need to do much of this type of betting. I don't think. So I wouldn't be betting this hand. I would mostly just be checking here. And I don't know how much I like betting with jacks, because I think, you know, I don't really like reducing the probability that he has jacks. But I think like ace 10, 10 9 suited, flush draws, those make up pretty big parts of my betting range, I think.
Yeah.
Okay, we get to the river.
Okay, so like at this point, I really feel like at this point, I really feel like it's one of those scenarios like when you call a 3-bet with a low pair and the flop is ace high, and you have like this street that gets checked, or like small c-bet check turn. Like these scenarios, I really feel like this hand qualifies as well. I really thought that I could make him fold quite a bit, and I need some bluffs, right? So I figured that you know, I beat some ace-x bluffs that he might check through. It's a bit weird, obviously, because he's supposed to 100% c-bet, and I don't necessarily think that he's going to check ace-6, ace-5 on the flop. But I mean, if he checks, then he might have some other checks as well that are unexpected, right?
Yep.
I don't know. So I figured, like, you know, 4s is a way better bet than 7s, because I can pressure like 5x, 6x, that sort of shit. You know, it's not that predominantly in there, I guess, but I need to find some bluffs. I kind of like unblocking. You know, I think some of my other natural bluffs are going to have like a 10 or a jack in them, or an ace, and I'd rather have 4s, because like I'd rather unblock, you know, like jacks and 10s, because that's where some of the folds might come from. Ace highs, obviously. That's how I got down to 4s.
Okay. Yeah, I would have bluffed with the high card stuff here. And I would have. I think you have a lot of high card stuff still. And I'll give you some examples. I think you have like combos that you didn't really mention. Like you have combos like 7-8 of diamonds, or 8-9 of diamonds, or I mean, like you mentioned this to some extent, like ace-3 suited, which I don't really think blocks his folding range much. You know, you mentioned that he might have ace-queen, so I don't think that's unreasonable. I don't think it's impossible for him to have ace-queen. So I don't think that. I don't know that how he's gonna have. I think it's very intuitive for a lot of people to stab at this flop somewhere with an ace-high hand if it's just a naked ace-high hand. So I think it's more likely that he's got like jacks, 10s, 9s, ace-queen, queen-jack, queen-10, king-5 suited or something.
But if he has, if I want him to have 9s, then if I that takes out my 8-9 suited, right? Because that's a pretty important.
Yeah, it
card
would be.
for him.
It depends on how much. Yeah, it depends on how much you think he's gonna have 9s. I mean, like I mentioned 9s, but this you guys both have like a lot of chips too, right? So he might be using a really polarized 3-bet strategy. He might not have those middling pairs. Maybe he does, but it's. I still think that you've got your opponent might have like ace-2 suited. Your opponent may have, again, I don't think there's as many high card hands here, but your opponent may have ace-jack suited. So I would still prefer to bluff with high card hands myself as opposed to pairs.
Okay.
So, but I don't hate this, but I would have not done it. But I don't think this is stupid or anything. We catch the raise, which is pretty annoying. This is like not the hand to call with, so we folded.
Yeah, I just figured, like, you know, I just didn't think I'd have enough high card hands in my range. Like, I guess, like, you're right. I guess maybe I'm putting too much stock into the fact that I think that he has ace highs. Like, ace highs feels like a much more natural bet on the flop than a hand like 10s, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. It just felt a bit weird. It's like I know, you know, it's just so clear that he's either. I don't like my sizing either, by the way. I feel like if I'm gonna bet, I should crank it up a little bit. How do you feel about my bet sizing?
I think it's okay. I think it's okay. Yeah, I think it's like gonna make a lot of sense when you have
queen jack.
Yeah, you know, queen jack, ace queen, queen 10 suited, you know, king 9 suited, something like that. Like I think it's not stupid. It's fine.
Yeah. Okay. That's because I need my queen in there, right? Like if I bet 600k, I'm saying like hi, you know.
Yeah, queen X.
I have king 10 or king jack suited, whatever.
Yeah, I don't even think you have to, you could do that, but I don't even think you have to go that big with those hands. But they are really good hands here, just because whenever you have a pair of kings, you're going to block the traps. So those will be pretty good.
Yeah, okay. So still too high up in my range, but I guess then what I also should realize is I'm just not betting this board very often, right? I'm just not betting here very often because, like, well, I mean, I need to offset my value bets with bluffs, right?
Mm-hmm.
And if I'm betting all my queen jack suited, queen 10 suited, ace queens, king jack, king 10, king 9, then don't I need more bluffs than just a hand than just high cards?
Not really. I mean, like your range is mostly suited, so like you're mentioning these hands, but like queen jack's like 3 combos, and it's probably using a smaller size than this. This is a little big for queen jack, in my opinion. Like I would probably have gone queen jack just a little smaller, and like I think this is a pretty good sizing for like king 10, king 9 suited personally.
Mm-hmm.
But most of your range is suited. So okay, so let's just go through it really quickly, right? So queen 10, queen jack, queen 10, that's 6 combos. Let's just go with like king 10, even king 10, right? Even king jack, they're also going to be suited. So that's 12 combos. So if you bet pot, a third of that range will be bluffs. So that means 6. If you add 6 bluffs to 12 combos, 18 combos in total. 6 of them will be bluffs, right? So 6 combos would be pocket fours. You're done.
Oh shit! Yeah, Fuck.
So, right. And so, like, I'm not saying that those are the only value bets you have, but like the nature of calling a 3-bet is that most of your range is suited. So you don't need that many bluffs to offset the value bets, right? So
Yeah, and then I can already go towards like if I just do like A7, Ace8 suited, because I don't really think that I'm flatting this deep in a tournament. I don't think I'm flatting a 3-bet with Ace3, Ace4 suited, right?
well, those tend to make good 4-bets too, but the suited Ace X block, as we get deeper and deeper, the suited Ace X block is actually very resilient to being 3-bet. It just like it's very difficult to fold that kind of that part of the
Okay.
range. It tends to 4-bet or
Oh,
call
that's
a lot.
interesting. I'll take away.
Because when you get deeper, so like here for example, let's just go back to pre-flop. So we get into this situation here, right? You're deep, he's deep, everybody else is shorter than you guys. So you guys both have a bunch of chips. So the way that this should work pre-flop is this player's range should be more polar. That's why I kind of like I didn't misspeak, but I mean like this player's range should be more polar. So this player should have a lot of aces and kings and a lot of basically duplicative bluffs like suited ace x, suited king x, and the bluff should be like king 5 suited, king 6 suited. That's how this 3-bet should work. So there shouldn't really be jacks. And the reason there shouldn't really be jacks is because if you know, again, I don't know exactly how much ICM was in this spot because I'm not looking at it, but I know this was in the money. So when these situations are ICM loaded, he's not trying to get it in with like tens against you. Like that's stupid. You know, you guys both have a ton of chips. If he gets it in with tens against like I don't know this guy, that's fine, right? Like that's fine. But against you, he really wants to be polar, and so because his range ends up being more kind of concentrated on the value side around aces and kings, the blocking effects for you go up. So when you have an ace, that's a way better hand. When you have a king, that's a way better hand because the value range here is really concentrated around aces and kings and ace king.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. Cool, thanks. Yeah, okay, that's clear then.
Well,
Yeah, I mean, and the combo counting is just like okay, you know, even like if I have Ace4, Ace8 suited, and I'm already like if I bluff all my Ace3, Ace4 suited, then I'm already almost over bluffing.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you just it's
Okay.
really easy to get to enough bluffs in this situation. And
Got it.
the preferred suit for bluffing will be spades because your opponent's probably supposed to bet the turn with most of the flush draws. So when they do have air, it's unlikely to be spades. But when you do bluff this river, if you're trying to be picky, you're going to look for spades first.
Okay. All right. That's very interesting. Thank you.
All right, no problem.
It's so interesting how you can uncover a mistake that you make in multiple situations just by asking some questions about a hand. I really need to start thinking about how to offset my bluffs towards the amount of value bets that I have a little bit better, and then I would have known this hand is a check. Now, let's dive into the $5,000 hand. Fives and the 5K. I counterfeit Ace4, Ace8. I feel like I have to jam now. 9-8 would be a problem. Pocket 4s would be a problem, of course. Holy shit.
All right, let's get right into this hand. We've got pocket 5s. We open it up. We get a caller, and a caller. So this is not an easy position to solve with a calculator, that's for sure. And
yeah, that's why I needed to ask, you know. Okay, so I kind of feel like my hand qualifies pretty well as a bluff. I have some backdoors into the straights. I unblock all the king, queen, king, jack flatting ranges. I think a lot of the 9x block is used as a bluff. I think that this deep people also 3-bet a lot of ace-x. People squeeze a lot of ace-x, so I kind of feel like this is just a very easy small c-bet for me.
I think c-betting's not bad, but these situations check a lot too. So I'm kind of basing most of my understanding here off of the way that three-way pots get played. There's usually a lot of checking to the in-position players, and that's because they can't trap. So because they can't trap, what do I mean by that? Like this player cannot check back ace-9, ace-4, pocket 9s, or pocket 4s, because it just benefits so much from driving money into the pot right now with all these people. So because this player can't trap, the betting percentage, generally speaking, remains high, and that results in like a decent amount of checking from you. So I do think this is okay to bet, but I do think that checking is also pretty good. So I don't think this is like pure bet or anything.
Okay. So but then you're saying like because people in position are supposed to play honest, if they check, then I can start barreling turns.
Yeah. Okay. Once this guy checks back the flop, he's out basically. I mean, like if this player checks back the flop, they're going to have good hands when they hit the turn. That's basically it.
Okay.
So yeah. Okay, so we bet, and the big blind calls.
All right, so here I just think that big blinds auto capped to 2-pair type hands. I mean, I think nines will definitely squeeze sometimes. Yeah, I think nines will squeeze. I know he doesn't have like ace king, ace queen. Obviously, he can have fours and the 2-pair combos and stuff, but I definitely think I have a heavy nut as well as strong hand advantage. Well, I don't have 9 for suited, obviously, but still.
Yeah, this is pretty interesting. Okay, so we used a pretty big bet size. I think this works. When you bet like fairly large. I don't think that this would work if you bet smaller. You might want to bet a little bit bigger, like just whatever the geometric answer is here. So you can see that when we bet and we're betting under pot, we get called, and then we're gonna have to bet the river to over pot. Okay, so our opponent's got more than what's in the middle here left. So maybe a bet of like 112 is better. Maybe a bet of like 115, 120 is better. So we can just bet the same size on the turn as we are on the river, basically pot, right? Yeah. So I think that pot is a little bit better. Personally, I think that this hand is interesting because it has like some merge like properties, which usually means that the EV is going to be pretty good. I don't know that this hand's a great hand to bluff the turn with here, but I don't think that the EV is going to be bad. So why do I say that? I think that your opponent's going to fold 9x. I think your opponent's going to fold 4x. I don't know that there's that much 4x without a backdoor flush draw on the flop. So I think your opponent's 4x is probably like clubs and spades for the most part. And your opponent will actually call the turn with 4x of spades. Mm-hmm. So basically, like what I'm trying to communicate is, if your opponent has an offsuit 4, I think it'll fold right here a lot, potentially. Like if he has like king 4, I think he might just fold the flop. If he has like, I don't know, 4, like 6-4 offsuit, I think that might just fold the flop. But if he has 6-4 of spades or clubs, he's never going to fold. That would be a big mistake in my opinion. So here they fold 4x of clubs, but they call 4x of spades. So actually this gets like a lot of value against that region. It does well. Then this player folds out a lot of the 9x block, folds out some of the ace-x block, calls with combo draws. Although I guess because we started with so many people, there's no combo draws. There's no like, maybe there's like 5-2 of spades, 5-3 of spades, some of that. But there's no like Jack 10 of spades, for example. That would be in this range if this was heads up, but not 4 ways.
Yeah, that's what I figured as well.
Yeah, so I think the sizing's a little on the small side. I think you have a lot of high card bluffs again, so you could just bluff with like Jack 10, Queen 10, Queen Jack. But again, I don't hate this. I think this is like stupid.
Okay, so that's a great fucking card for me, right? Because now I feel like because he's like we said, right? He's gonna fold a lot. He doesn't have. I mean, he has 9x of spades. Yep. Obviously, that could be a problem. But his ace 4, ace 8 get counterfeit. I all of a sudden have all the strong aces. They all have like the nut advantage over those over his ace-x hands now. Yeah, I feel like this is a really good card for me. And I was just automatically assuming he was gonna check, and I was just gonna jam. If he checks, would that be your auto play here as well?
Probably not. And the line of reasoning would go as follows. A third of your range gets to be bluffs. You're bidding pot, basically, right? So you're going to have a lot of high card bluffs on a board like this because the board blanked. So I would assume you're going to have a lot of like 7-6s, 6-5s. Obviously with like, clubs or spades or hearts, you're not going to bet 7-6 or 6-5 just randomly, I don't think. But I don't think those are stupid bets on the flop. Like, you can have those hands. With a backdoor flush draw. I think you have Jack 10 with a backdoor flush draw and barrel it off. I think you have Queen 10 with a backdoor flush draw and barrel it off. Queen Jacks, maybe not, but that now here you could have like Ace King offsuit. I don't know that you're gonna have as much like I definitely don't think you want to see bet the flop with like Ace Jack. I would have checked that for sure personally. Yeah, you're still relatively short value bets in terms of like relative to how many bluffs I think you could potentially get here with. I think you get here with a little bit too much air. So again, the same idea would be that I don't want to bluff with the paired air. I would rather bluff with the high card air. And kind of take this showdown value against like 4x of spades or something.
Yeah, because that's why 3s and deuces will be a much better bluff, right? Because I don't beat 4x of spades.
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah, I mean this player's range is a pair, right? I mean we have exactly 5 deuce and 5-3 of spades that this player can have for high card hands, maybe. But outside of that, I mean, like this guy called the flop 4 ways on ace 9-4, right? Like he's gonna have a pair. So if you have deuces or threes, those hands pretty much always lose. So I wouldn't have as much of a problem bluffing with deuces or threes. But I do think you're like the part of the reason why this bet works is because you're getting called by 4x of spades, and then you're going to fold out like 9x a lot, and you're actually going to fold out some ace-x as well. So I don't think that this translates to I don't think that this translates to betting the bluffing the river with this particular one. Right? I don't think bluffing the river is really bad, but I wouldn't have bluffed with this. And then he donks.
Yeah, this was like, I was shocked because I feel like he has a pair. None of his pairs that are struggling would lead here. So I just felt like, isn't this just always some 9 in his hand? Like I just had no idea where he would pull bluffs from, apart from maybe 5 deuce or 5-3 of spades, right?
Which is not enough combos.
Yeah. Isn't this lead just awful?
Well, he could start to offset it with 4x of spades. Right? If
Fair.
he's being clever, right? If he's really being clever, he could have 4x of spades or 9x of spades. That's how he would figure out how to do this. But it's not that intuitive. It's easier to just have 9x of spades, right? It's much easier to just have 9x of spades. So I think most players will be very dense, like trips. But if you were in this situation, you were to ask me how would I do this, that would be how you would do it, right? You would just, you don't have a choice. It would just be 4x of spades and a 9.
Yeah. Okay. But do you like? Okay. So, but that's how you would offset it against each other. But still, would you choose to have? I mean, I guess it's always good to have some sort of leads in there. But then but that means you're always gonna have to lead your 9 because you have 9x of spades. You want to offset that against 4x of spades. So now if you check, you just have dust.
Well, if you check, you have so the way that it would work, I think, if it again to the extent you wanted to build this range, you would lead a fraction of your trips, maybe half, right? So you would lead a fraction of your 9x of spades because that's all you're gonna have. You wouldn't lead all of it. So you'd lead like half of your 9x of spades. You would lead a smaller fraction than that of your 4x of spades because this range needs to be mostly value bets. Okay, so some small fraction of your 4x of spades would also lead, and then you would check some fraction of the 4x of spades. You would check the ace-x block, and you would check maybe half of your 9x block. So you wouldn't end up leading here with all of your 9s and all of your 4s. You would lead here with some of your 9s, a few of your 4s, and basically none of your ace-x. And then you would check here with probably all of your ace-x and a decent chunk of the 9s.
Okay, that makes sense. I feel like that's super hard to do in game.
I agree that it's very difficult to do.
I think that if it becomes really hard to do something like that in game, then it's gonna lean more towards value.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, he probably has a 9. I mean, like if you ask me, guess his hand, I'd be like he probably has like 9-7 of spades.
Yeah, or like 9-8 of hearts or whatever.
Yeah, or something like that. That's possible too.
All right, cool. Yeah, that's interesting though. I think that it's kind of funny that we both like both hands were the similar hand strength. We have pairs on an overcard board, and I just mess up the amount of offsets I need for my value bets.
Well, as far as the execution of this one goes, like this one, you didn't bet the river, so you played this one in a reasonable way. You bet the flop, you barreled the turn. I think the turn sizing could have been a little bit bigger, and then we folded the river, which I think this guy's got trips, so I like that too. So this one looks good, but yeah, the if we would have bet the river, I would have said that it would have been the same mistake in both cases. Yeah.
Okay. Awesome. Thanks. That's it. I really hope you guys enjoyed another episode of Poker Coaching. Obviously, if you want to find out anything about BBZ, find out all the study material that he makes, all the links are in the description. Please like and subscribe if you appreciate this free knowledge, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace out.